Good morning and welcome back to Pinebrook Homestead. Before we get started on cleaning out the refrigerator, I wanted to get the bird feeders filled. The past few nights it has been in the low 30s, so I dumped the bird bath so it wouldn't freeze. Because we are in the high 60s today, I thought I would fill it and add my solar fountain. Watching the birds is one of my indulgent pleasures and brings me so much joy. As you can see, we have stripped the leaves of all the tomato plants behind me. I'm hoping to ripen as many as I can, but I fear I'm going to have to pull them and bring them in to force ripen. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Marie. As women and mothers, we are keepers of the home. My frugal homemaking has looked slightly different with the seasons of life. Currently, I'm in a new season. My children are either grown and married or in high school, leaving the house quiet during the day. If you're a mom of small children, I'm sure you have thought at one time or the other, how nice would that be? As much as I enjoy being able to tackle some projects, I miss the younger years. I believe the key in homemaking is enjoying every season. Just as the autumn leaves are starting to turn here and the cold and snow will settle in, our children will grow and eventually need us less. As for the home, it always needs the homemaker to clean, tend to, and make cozy. Although these days it seems to cost more to maintain. Therefore, the homemaker has become frugal by need and learns ways to develop and nurture the no-waste mentality. As I clean out the fridge, I'm able to assess what needs to be used immediately, and prepare some from-scratch dishes. This also helps me prepare my grocery list to stay on budget. I have an overabundance of peppers from the garden. If any of you have some great ideas for poblano peppers or Hungarian wax peppers, please leave them in the comments below. I had also stripped the rest of my parsley pot from the deck before the freezing temperatures came, but my dehydrator was full of rosemary. So I wrapped the parsley in a wet paper towel and put it in a Ziploc. They stored beautifully and are still crisp. I have store-bought apples that desperately need used up, and a container of mushrooms that I scored on Markdown. And yes, I do have a sourdough starter, but I keep it in the fridge between uses. I bake both yeast and sourdough breads, depending on the time and our family's needs. I have a container and a half of vegetable broth that needs used, and I'm checking on my lemons. I found a great deal on lemons, but feared I wouldn't be able to use them up in time. This is the first time I'm storing them in filtered water in the fridge, and they're good. Has anyone else stored lemons this way? I have some broccoli and Brussels sprouts that need to be used up, and a few carrots. I like to condense my containers and use the silicone bags. I have found that my produce stays fresh longer. Not to mention, it is a one-time purchase and less Ziploc bags that I have to buy. Does anyone else wash their Ziploc bags and reuse them? think with the mushrooms that we have, I think we'll be making a cream of mushroom soup. I just love soup in the fall. We also went to the local farm, a fruit farm actually, and bought some seasonal apples. This year's fresh apples are so delicious, and that one sign of fall that everyone in the house loves. I've learned that in a house full of young men, if I do not have the produce washed or accessible, it does not get eaten. Do any of you have the same issue? I add fruit and vegetables to their diets every day, some way, even if it's sneaking them in. Fortunately, to all the moms dealing with picky eaters, there is hope. As my boys have grown, their palates have developed. What is your favorite apple recipe? I'm thinking about an apple crisp or pie. Today we'll be making some Crockpot Applesauce with the ones we need to use up. Does anyone else struggle with keeping the stainless steel clean? I used to buy all the cleaners until now. Another frugal tip is to grab some microfiber cloths. They are versatile and again can be used over and over, reducing the paper towel usage considerably. All I do is wet one, no cleaner, and I have a dry one to go behind. It leaves the perfect shine and less chemicals are used. This is how I also clean my mirrors and inside windows. I couldn't believe how clean and shiny everything became. I will leave a link below. They are the perfect washcloth size and come in various colors, so you can dedicate one color to each area of your home. Any way we can reduce the chemicals in our homes saves you money and a little healthier for all of us. I will confess, cleaning is not my favorite task in the home, but once it is clean, I feel so much better, at least until the family returns, and then it's on rinse and repeat. Since I've let my bread supply dwindle completely, I thought I would feed the starter. It has been at least 2 weeks since I've used it, but I also have plans for an English muffin yeast bread to bake this weekend for breakfast sandwiches. And I know some of you are probably going to cringe when I stir the starter with a metal fork. I've used both wood and metal and can't tell a difference in the starter. After I have it stirred up, I'm just going to put the lid on loosely so air can get into the starter. And I let it just come to room temperature, and I'll be able to use it tomorrow. So what does frugality mean to you? It seems to be a word that is trending right now with the cost of everything. Money doesn't stretch as far. Things are more expensive. The definition of frugality is the quality of being careful when using money or food. We are weighing our wants versus our needs, being careful not to waste anything of use, and being mindful in consuming. It's easy to get stuck in the hustle culture of today's society. I've only returned home since July of this year, and now find ourselves back to a one-income family. I'm more aware of every dollar these days. In the past, I fell victim to purchasing things that I thought would make life easier or happier. They never did. Today, I'm finding happiness in the smaller things. The scent of the apples and cinnamon filling my home. Fresh baked bread that nourishes my family. I'm happy when being resourceful and not wasting anything. I've slowed down. I found pleasure in utilizing the library and reading again, tending to the garden, and it makes me happy to create, even if it's just a pot of applesauce. This is such an easy recipe. You just peel, core, and chunk up your apples, placing them into your crock pot. The rest of the ingredients you'll need is a half a cup of water, a tablespoon of lemon juice, fresh or bottled, and a teaspoon of cinnamon. You're going to cook this on high for about 4 hours. And then if you like it chunky, the apples will fall apart, leaving chunks when you stir it with your spoon. But if your family likes smooth applesauce, you can take your immersion blender and create that as well. I always keep a big bottle of lemon juice in the refrigerator at this time of the year. It's a requirement when canning my tomatoes. Now we're a no-waste household, so what are we going to do with the peels? I'm going to fill my mason jar, smashing them down. I will top it off with filtered water, and we are making some apple cider vinegar. I use mason tops, which provide you with a glass puck that's weighted to keep the contents of the ferment below the water line. And then it has a nippled top so that the gases during fermentation are easily released. As homemakers, our days can be full of tasks, laughter, tears, and beauty. If you're overwhelmed as a homemaker, try each day to find the beauty in one thing. It could be the birds at the bird feeder, or the way the autumn leaves dance in the sun, the roll of steam off your coffee or tea, or the innocent smile of your child's face. Maybe even the beauty of your hands working the dough for your own fresh bread. We are on to the mushrooms. We are going to make a cream of mushroom soup with the vegetable broth that I also need to use up. I will leave the recipe in the description box below. I've washed and de-stemmed all the mushrooms. And we're using a shallot today that we grew in the garden. But boy, it was strong. My eyes were watering. So I'm going to set the skins and the ends aside. And then in my freezer, I keep a Ziploc bag. And I put all of the stems and the skin, onions in there, along with broccoli, stems, kale stems, carrot ends, and this is how I make my broth. You can use the whole bag in a pot of water and make your vegetable broth, or you can add the vegetables to your chicken or beef bones. It's another no-waste tip that my mother-in-law taught me years ago. I've got the fresh thyme from the garden. And thyme actually overwinters, even in the snow. It's wonderful to be able to go out there and grab fresh thyme. I just love how the fresh herbs enhance the flavor. And you can see we've got some visitors. Whenever I chop up vegetables, the dogs come in. So we're going to saute the shallot and mushrooms in a little bit of olive oil. We'll add the fresh thyme from the garden. I've salted and peppered the vegetables. I have found the key to a great soup is the salt. Just make sure to add it slowly as to not oversalt your soup. Add a little bit, taste, and if you need some more, then you can add some. This is something I've learned over the years, and now I love making soup. What is your favorite go-to soup? I'd love to hear from you. I've added the butter and melted it down, and now I'm going to add the flour. This will make somewhat of a roux amongst the vegetables. Just make sure to stir in that flour and cook it for a few minutes so you don't have that raw flour taste. We'll go ahead and add 3 cups of vegetable broth, but a half at a time. That way I'm able to stir it all up and make sure we don't have any lumps in the soup. I'm going to bring it to a boil, continuing to stir. And as it thickens, oh, it smells so good right now. Once it comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer, and I will add the milk. I have really appreciated you taking your time out of your day to spend with me. If you like this content, would you please subscribe to our channel? It helps my channel grow. With the garden season winding down, we will be turning more towards homemaking and cooking inspiration. I'd love to see you again. Thank you for coming back to Pinebrook Homestead.